Born in the 80s and raised in the 90s, we are the generation that knew what the phrase "be kind, rewind" means because we lived it in our homes every weekend, and we also knew what it was like to go to Pizza Hut and win free personal pan pizzas thanks to Book It, underneath the awe of the stained glass lights at Pizza Hut back in the 90s. We are the Inner Light Project, and we are so glad to be rejoining you and sharing with you some things of what all we've been up to, as well as later on in our podcast where we'll share some reviews and thoughts we have on the movie The Shawshank Redemption. For those of y'all that have seen it, this is your spoiler warning already. I know most of y'all have probably already seen Shawshank already, but just to put that out there. So I'm joined today by my friend Nathan Tolley. Nathan, if you want to say hi to the kids for us.
Hello.
And my dear friend Derrick McCarson.
Cowabunga, dudes.
And
wearing my Ninja Turtle shirt today.
Yes, he is. Even though this is radio, not television, we've got Derrick in the Ninja Turtles. Nathan is establishing that he is an officer on the Nostromo, for those of y'all who understand that reference. And then, of course, I'm joined by my friend Doug Bailey.
Yo, San Dimas High School football rocks!
So we're here to bring back to you guys just some things that we've been watching lately. And, of course, later on, we're going to talk about the movie The Shawshank Redemption. So right now, we're just mainly going to just kind of open-ended share some things, some thoughts we've been watching lately. And again, this is from a Christian worldview perspective. We are literally just four nerds that go to church together at the same church. And, this is what you hear in our podcast is pretty much what we talk about whenever we get together. So you get to have that kind of fun and listen in on the fun that we have in our conversations.
Feel our nerdiness.
Yes, absolutely, Nathan. So, guys, if anyone wants to kind of chime in first about what y'all been watching lately, or, I'm just going to kind of open it and see where it goes from there.
I'll start. Actually, me and my wife, we went and saw Black Widow. What was it? Sunday.
Spoiler.
Well, I'm not going to really spoil anything since you guys haven't seen it, but
thank you.
It was good, and especially what made it so good was it was a good origin story and a good ending for her character. Because this movie takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, and it just basically shows what she was on the run for during those two movies.
I mean, I thought her character ended in Endgame. Am I wrong? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sir, do I have to repeat myself?
Or are we talking about a completed arc? Kind of a completed character
We'll
arc?
say completed arc.
Okay, all right.
So this movie goes back into her murky past as a Russian agent,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It sort of explores that area of her life. Yeah. We get glimpses of it in some of the movies.
Yeah, it kind of glimpses throughout the whole...
But this one goes deeper. And doesn't it have like a sister in it, or?
Yeah, actually, she has a sister and a mother and a father in it.
Okay.
And it basically she's trying to still what she called was clean up her
ledger.
Her ledger, and it also talks about. She also mentioned the whole Red Room where she was trained as an assassin when she was growing up. But I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was really good.
Sounds interesting, and probably would give a lot of depth to an already well-established character, and of course we all know if you've seen Endgame, she pays the ultimate price at the hands of Thanos. Or no, sorry, I'm confused.
Hit the brake.
Let me pump the brakes.
Back up.
She sacrifices herself, right?
Yes. For the stone. Yeah.
Her and Hawkeye were fighting.
That's right. It's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah.
Well, one observation I saw on social media, and I didn't see it all the way because there was a spoiler alert on there, but a lot of posts I saw had the caption of "This scene now makes sense," and they were referring to the 2012 Avengers where she says to Loki, "I have red on my ledger. I'd like it wiped clean." So would I be right in saying that the Black Widow movie sheds light on?
Yes, actually it does. They really go deep into her story of it, because it starts out when she's a kid. Her and her family are sort of on the run, actually on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D., and then it goes kind of present day when she's on the run after Civil War. But the way I feel about it, it was a good movie, but don't go into it thinking like it's going to be a big blockbuster like Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good single character story.
So, important question. Go see it in the movie theater or wait till it comes out on Disney Plus?
Go see it in theaters. Don't pay the premium $30
No.
price.
No, what I'm saying is
After.
wait until it comes out on Disney Plus. Like, is it a go? You have to see it at the movie theater type movie.
Good question.
I think it was for me because since I hadn't, besides seeing the dreadful Fast and the Furious 2 weeks ago.
Oh man, tell us what you really think, Nathan.
Man,
Guilty
it's okay as long
confession.
as you got family, bro.
Time for a family meme.
I think it was worth it for me to go see it in theaters because of the lack of being in theaters for the past almost 2 years now. Well, year and a half, whatever. But I think it was worth it. I'm gonna say I think it was
Just for
Okay.
the fact of being in the theater.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That,
'cause
that,
of what
that's
you
why
said.
that's why I'm saying I would never pay that $30 to see the premium on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Sorry, Disney Plus.
when you get the experience of seeing it in
Yeah.
theaters.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Now you've made me
Very
want to
cool.
see it.
Same here. Yeah. Is that about all you've been? seeing?
well, I've got some other things, but if you guys want to,
So let's keep it in the MCU.
Okay.
So I know one thing we've all been watching and really enjoying has been the Loki series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I know for me, of the 3 that they have released on the streaming service, the Loki series has been my favorite personally.
Absolutely.
Simply because it's just a trip down the rabbit hole, so to speak. It's really blows open the MCU, and we get a whole different perspective on what's going on in the background, and it really enlarges it and makes the whole series epic. We meet the timekeepers and the TVA, and we see that they have this important job of trimming the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
And we introduced the concept of variant and different variants of characters and what the multiverse is all about. And so,
and it also explains what happened to that Loki in Endgame.
right, that's where it pulls the thread from.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because you see him disappear with the Tesseract, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So this picks up right after
And
that.
see, for those of, because I know I kind of felt overwhelmed when I saw Endgame, how long it was and all that stuff. And that's why I remember asking you, Nathan, like, so they never retouched on that. It's just he vanished. They never revisited it, and now here we are finding out about it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The Avengers are pretty much well, we screwed up. We lost that Tesseract.
Let's go
so-
back to the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
So they took
So
another
that's where
shot at it.
that's where Loki the series starts. That's the thread that they pull on.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to that Loki? And then boom, you're entered into a whole mess of problems.
And to put that in perspective, if I'm correct on this, that's 2012 Loki.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
2012 would be the
Yes.
cutoff for
So
that.
it's not the Loki that, I guess Loki Prime that dies in Infinity War when Thanos chokes him to death. Right? It's not that
Right.
Loki.
Yeah.
It's a variant that wasn't supposed
Right.
to happen.
And so this would be a Loki that has maybe not as much, unless I missed this part in the show, doesn't know all of those events that takes.
He only reason he knows some of it is when they did that kind of
They were doing his greatest hits on
Great-
tape
yeah.
there.
Yeah, they
Oh,
kind of
right,
showed
right.
him what his life was going to be.
it would have been if he hadn't have
Okay.
picked up the Tesseract.
Yeah, and so he knows
Saw his
he
mom
can't go
die.
back, because if he goes back, he dies.
Mhm.
And if he stays, he's kind of a prisoner in the TVA.
So we talked about, you say the Loki Prime that dies in Endgame, but is this Loki the Prime Loki, or was that the variant that went on to die?
Oh no!
Oh, it's a Christopher Nolan rabbit hole we're getting sucked into.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't know. I don't know if you can really even say, because since he's from a alternate timeline, I just feel like this show brings the alternate timeline into the light. Basically like the multiverse into the light. If nobody really knows about it, because they've just stayed on the normal path all this time, but now this opens the world up to the multiverse.
By the way, it is June 15th, and the last episode, or excuse me, July 15th. Woo.
Yeah.
July 15th.
Did you go back in time?
The last episode 6, just dropped yesterday. So 3 of 4 of us have been able to watch it, but
spoiler.
The big reveal in this last episode, of course, was we find out who the main villain is, who is the professor behind the curtain, so to speak, to use another Wizard of Oz analogy. And we find out that it's Kang, the one who remains.
Yes.
And Kang the Conqueror. And so, were you guys expecting that? I know there was a lot of speculation from fans and a lot of ideas tossed around about who that could be. Were you surprised when he showed up?
I was hoping it was. Because there were so many. I know WandaVision messed with our heads so much about
pointed toward
certain
Mephisto, but it didn't happen.
But I feel like there were so many characters, just so many different things that pointed towards his direction. If they hadn't have done it, I think it would have not necessarily ruined the show for me, but I'm like,
kind of that would have been a letdown.
This ending, I was like, this kind of sucks. I mean, because there was kind of rumors of it being another Loki or even being Mobius. Like because the multiple rings on the table. They were saying this could have been like an older Mobius for controlling everything. And I was like, if it would have been any of that, I'd be like, this is really a letdown.
Yeah, and they do an exposition in the middle of the episode where Kang basically explains where he came from and how he landed in that position of being in the Citadel at the end of time.
Yeah.
And they explain all of that.
Which
And
they did an amazing job.
They did a great job of taking a very complex storyline and boiling it down for somebody like me who had no knowledge of who he was or how he got there. But as we were watching it, and I was thinking, that's exactly what Doug just explained. Doug hit it right on the head. It was very close to the comics, right?
Yes.
And Doug is familiar with the comic version, and so they just basically lifted that and brought it right into the show.
Oh yeah, which is always a nice tie-in when you watch these movies. You're a fan of these movies, and you're a fan of the comics you grew up with. You like to see the way they draw in all these old characters, like they did the old Loki when they brought him in the fourth
the different
episode?
Loki variants, the crocodile Loki,
Kirby,
and
the Jack Kirby Loki with the horns. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a trip.
That'd crack me up.
And I thought it was awesome. And this is the first time when Kang was explaining things. Didn't spoiler, Preston.
That's okay. Go for it. It's all right. I'm going to watch it this evening anyway.
He was explaining things. Did y'all catch that was the first time he said multiple universes stacked on each other instead of saying timeline?
Yeah.
He said it was him essentially telling his story. He called himself the Kang Prime, the Prime one. He discovered the multiple universes until he met other versions of himself that were searching for him. So I thought that was a really excellent way to...
Yeah, and he has this really eerie line when they're contemplating whether to kill him or not. And he basically, says when he does get killed, basically says, you'll see me again soon.
Yeah.
See you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. I thought that was pretty sinister because it was all going to... The whole show is brilliant in that it teeters on this debate between free will versus determinism. Is everything preset? Do we have free will, or are we just like robots moving to somebody else's programming? And so it kind of leads you to that discussion at the end, like, well, okay, so all this was inevitable, right? He's going to come back again because of the multiverse and the different variants of himself. Yeah,
he said the exact same thing. Time was going to repeat itself. Yes. It was going to be a multi-universal war. He would come forward, beat everybody, end up right back in the same place. So it didn't matter if they killed him. He didn't care.
It was very similar to Thanos, his line in Endgame.
I'm inevitable.
I'm inevitable, right? It's kind of a harkening back to that.
Yeah.
Well, see, it was so cool when everything was breaking down after they killed him. The timeline looked like, I guess you'd say, like roots in the ground.
Yeah, roots are like
Just
vessels, look like
spider
blood,
webs
yeah.
of broken
Yeah,
glass.
It was awesome. I mean, this I don't know. Would you say this is the best episode?
The last episode 5, where we saw all the variant Lokis, was really great. That was entertaining, and it was funny to see that whole interaction. But for me, I mean, this is what the whole series was building to. You wanted to know, all right, who's running this thing?
Yeah.
And it did not disappoint. And I thought that it was a great way to cap off the series and then keep watching. As you know, there's a post-credit scene.
Oh,
Keep
yeah.
watching,
Okay.
Preston.
And you find out that there is going to be a season 2, and it's going to pick up where this one ends up, where Loki discovers that he's in a completely different universe than the one that he started in because of the whole Pandora's box that got opened with Kang's death. So
if they really don't, I thought about that too. If they don't know him, he run right up to Morbius and what was
Mobius.
Mobius.
Not Morbius.
Yeah.
Not the vampire.
That's to come. That's coming. I was thinking of it. But what was the hunter's name? Was that B-20?
I can't. It was the female. The
I don't know if it's 20 or 19, but neither one of them recognize Loki. So that universe he's in, they don't know him.
and
Right.
he sees a different. There's different statues.
There's different
right. So
statues.
when he goes from the Citadel at the end of time back to the TVA, he's in a different universe altogether.
Completely different branch.
It's all been branched off, and it's chaos at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Which we talked about this on our ride over here, that it sets up what's coming next, which is we know where there's multiverse of madness coming with Doctor Strange. We know that Spider-Man's going to have, it looks like,
I think Spider-Man is first.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange.
we're going to have different versions of Spider-Man in the
Telling you,
same
that's
movie.
what people are hoping. I want to
Yeah.
see Andrew Garfield back in the suit.
Well, see, and see, I'm hoping that too. Just because, I mean, they have not revealed anything about multiple Spider-Mans, but all their villains from those other movies have been they've been coming back. Like the actors have been coming back to play those characters in this next Spider-Man movie.
What do you think? What
So I'm
Going
hoping it's
back-
not just the villains.
going back to that last scene where, it shows that universe is doing the exact same thing as the universe he thought he was in.
Yeah, yeah, because they show Mobius and whatever I don't even know her name.
I think it's 20.
The other security guard, whatever
Yeah.
she was, but they were both standing in. I'm guessing that was the prime one we've all been seeing location of TVA.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back,
They think they're the prime.
yes, yeah,
Yep. So that's why it's all complete madness.
And there's
It's gonna be a lot of
already
fun.
awesome madness.
there's already a reveal. Kang statue. There's not 3 timekeepers. There's just
one.
Kang.
Yep. Yep. So this show did a great job. I felt like every episode you came to kind of an impasse where you were expecting the next thing, and then when you got to the thing, it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So like, it was building up to meeting the timekeepers, and then when you finally see who the timekeepers were, they weren't what you thought.
Yeah, they were just
there was something
robots.
else behind that, and then this series was great for doing that, kind of setting up the next mystery, and that's really how it ends with episode 6. Loki was a ton of fun, a definite mind boggler, and expands the MCU even more.
What I wanted to throw in just real quick about that too is one of the elements I noticed in Loki was the use of a theremin. I don't know if y'all are familiar with a theremin. That's a
It's a
musical
pretty
instrument.
unique instrument. Yeah,
It is. Technically, it's the only good thing that came out of the Soviet Union, but like it was.
Is that the one where you put your hand over it?
And like if you ever want to sell a theremin, you're not lying if you say it's never been touched, because you're not supposed to touch it as you play it. Like you move your hands like you're using the force, and the theremin is kind of shaped in an L. There's an antenna on one side, and then there's another antenna that makes a loop, and one hand is kind of your volume, while the other hand, the way you position your fingers and all of that is the pitch and all of that. So in Loki, if y'all remember the scene where it's in the guy's office, he's got those 3 statues and all those knickknacks displayed, and you can hear this stringy sounding music. It sounds pretty old. That's a theremin.
Yeah, it's kind of harkens back to like maybe like a 60s B movie where the aliens are coming in and it's
that too. And that can also be attributed to some of Bob Moog's inventions.
Yeah, it's kind of got an
here in Asheville.
otherworldly type feel to it. And
Right.
while we're on that, I thought the soundtrack
Was
to
awesome.
Loki was
Yeah.
really great.
Music
It was
was great.
unique, and it was
And in the theme there too, in the intro theme, you can hear the theremin. And Natalie Holt, who's from England, she wrote the music for Loki, but the idea of the theremin, if I read right, came from the director, and she pitched it to Natalie Holt. And so they got together and worked on some musical elements. And basically the reason the theremin was chosen is because they felt that it captured Loki's humor, his menace, and his mischief. They felt like it sounded like that. But there's also other instruments they used, like the nickel harp, which is a Scandinavian instrument. So when you're talking about Scandinavian ancient, god names and stuff, that becomes appropriate. But the nickel harp looks like a cross between a violin, a guitar, and an accordion almost, without the squeeze box part. The nickel harp has, I want to say, like 16 or so strings that go across. And then there's like tons of these buttons and rods on the bottom that you move your hand around as well.
The guitar.
And you use a bow to play it. So you're bowing it, you finger on the bottom, but you hold it as if it's a guitar.
You have to have a lot of dexterity to play this.
Yeah, it sure looked like that to me when I saw a video of it. It's a really
that's strange.
fascinating looking and very cool sounding instrument. But they just did, and then you have some orchestral elements too. But they wanted that theremin to kind of be the overlying element in the music of Loki. Again, for those reasons. But it was invented in the 1920s by Leon Theremin, and then just kind of made its name after that.
There you go.
Anyway, that's just
go
my 2
go
cents
Google
on
it, look it up.
Yeah.
Well, and also, Preston, they had to. I mean, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had to actually
You're wrong.
create. You stay out of this stuff. You
Stand there and you're wrong now.
They actually had to create a theme song for Loki.
Yeah.
Because he in all the movies he's been in, he never really had any of his own music. It was always the whatever movie he was in's music.
Right, because he wasn't the main character,
Exactly.
even though he was such an important
The main
element.
antagonist.
Oh yeah, big time.
especially in Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right.
And
Yeah,
Thor.
this is the first time where we really get to see a pure musical theme for the character of Loki.
And Derrick, you were talking about like the '60s type vibe. That I feel like the whole TVA
Yeah.
has like a
Yeah.
'60s type vibe to it. Anyways,
Was I the only one who thought that Miss Minutes was
A little creepy.
well, she was kind of like Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park. Dino DNA. Where he's used to explain how they get
Yeah.
the DNA
Yeah.
from.
a little cartoon
And
DNA. Yeah.
bingo.
Speaking of Miss Minutes, I found like
Here he goes.
Oh yes, I'm bringing it up.
It's a coincidence, people.
No. Go back and watch the first Thor. Now this is a deep. This shows how much thought Marvel has put into this show.
Go ahead, Doug. Pull up the picture for the viewers.
I'm gonna show it to Preston. Thank you.
Even though this
That's
is
her shirt.
red. Oh,
in the
look
first Thor.
at.
Does it not?
Wait a minute. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's just a coincidence.
Oh,
just
be
a
quiet,
quinky
Nathan.
dink.
No, that's that.
Even the
Let him have his fun, Nathan.
That if it's a coincidence, then there are some artists that have some copyright lawsuit grounds there. But I don't think that's a coincidence.
that's actual snapshot from the movie. If you look at
yeah,
Jane's character when she's running, right when she thinks Thor died,
yep,
she's running. Her flannel shirt blows open.
Boom.
yeah.
T-shirt, Miss Minutes.
Doug photoshopped that.
And-
That's not actually in the movie.
Well, I mean, and with it being Disney owned, You've got, I mean, take the Pixar movies. There is this theory, and it holds water, that every single Pixar movie takes place in the same universe.
Yeah, if you can't sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, pull those conspiracy theories up.
Well, it's just like even the Disney movie, just the Disney movies alone. It seems like you'll find a character in every single one of them that was in each other's movies.
And if this is the case with what Doug was showing us, this is nothing new for Disney to be practicing in. They've been doing this since we were all kids.
I just hope they never put Mickey Mouse in the background somewhere or something.
I guarantee we've seen him.
They did that in the first Tron movie.
Oh, well, Tron's okay. That's fine.
Because in the scene where that big sailing, whatever you call it, was going across
solar sail.
The solar sail. If you're looking in the background, like the landscape and stuff, you can see the silhouette, the ears, and then the head, and the mouth.
The
and
ears
it
got
is
a
Mickey
make.
Mouse. Because I mean,
go back and
Tron.
See if I can find that now.
That's the 1982 Tron, which Star Trek II beat it by a month on being the first movie with CG. So
there we go.
Had to put that in there.
So as we talk about MCU and what's been on Disney Plus, rate it. Favorite, second, least favorite. For me, Loki number 1.
Okay.
Calm down, sir.
You're asking my vote. Jeez.
No, you get your chance. It's
Okay.
I'll go first. Loki, then WandaVision, then Captain America or Winter Soldier, and
Falcon. Winter Soldier.
What about you, Doug? What's your 1, 2, 3?
Loki, Falcon, Winter Soldier, WandaVision. Falcon and Winter Soldier went above WandaVision. I'm sorry.
Well, Doug, you're wrong. It goes Loki, WandaVision, and Falcon and Winter Soldier for me.
Yeah.
I'll rank like what Derrick and Nathan ranked only because and Doug, I'm gonna give you a pass on this one. Only because I have not seen all the Falcon Winter Soldier episodes yet. I've seen maybe the first 3, so I'm not caught up. So that's why my ranking is the way it is. I know. Cop out. I know. Sorry.
So you guys, we watched this last episode. Did you think when Miss Mintz popped up that she was the one running everything? How much of a letdown would that have been?
I'm pretty sure I would have turned the TV off if that would have happened.
That would have been bad.
Because you notice the statues when you walk in, if you looked up at them, they have clocks for faces, and then she pops up. You're like, oh, really?
I think that would have really ruined the whole series, truthfully, if she would have been, I don't know, some kind of AI or something. I think
kind of like not letting Doctor Strange show up at the end of WandaVision. That would have made it bump up to a 2 if he.
But see, also they wanted that to be her show though, not somebody else's.
Good point.
What, Doug?
To be her show.
What, Doug? What do you got? What do you got?
Hey, break it up here, boys.
This is not going to be. This is why y'all are on opposite ends.
All right, so we have
jump over this table.
We've all watched the
Calm
Disney
down,
Plus
Neo.
Marvel series.
Yeah.
We've watched. Well, one of us has watched Black Widow.
Yeah.
What else have you guys been watching this past summer?
I'll just because I can't contain this. So who in here? I know you have access to HBO Max. You guys both do. Chernobyl.
Oh, yes.
Chernobyl is amazing.
What a response!
I want to say, me and Doug were actually watching it at the exact same
Doug
time.
actually told me about it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at that point,
Start listening
I
to
wasn't
me.
able to piggyback off of my sister's HBO account at that time. But I have since done that, and Chernobyl was awesome.
They knocked it out of the park.
Sucked me in.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we all grew. I mean, we were obviously around when it happened, but
too young to really.
Well, right.
Yeah,
I mean, I
care or know.
I hadn't even started preschool yet when it happened, but I remember.
Except for Doug.
I wasn't going to say anything, Doug, but Nathan, Nathan in his mouth over here. Anyway.
Well worth it.
Except for Doug. That's our catchphrase. Except for Doug.
Go ahead, Preston.
No, well, I was just gonna say I remember being in high school when I started actually learning like the history of it and starting to appreciate the
You gave
details.
Nathan your spoon, didn't you?
That big spoon.
Big spoon.
He's
He's stirring things up.
Nathan took the big spoon. He's stirring it up now. But I remember, when by the time I was in high school, having finally learned the kind of a detailed version of it in my science class. That was something that we kind of touched on in science because of, studying about radiation and all of that. But
I remember learning it in my history class.
right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until this miniseries was released that I really learned, and I'm sure y'all too, especially at the end of the last episode with especially what Gorbachev wrote, and where he said that he felt that the Chernobyl disaster was the pinnacle, the true start of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Yeah. But just all the details and
it was
the
brutal.
Things, oh my gosh!
Yeah, well, there was a huge government cover up to keep the world from knowing what was really going on.
Right.
So I think that's why most people in America or in this hemisphere didn't really know the story, because so much of it was hidden.
Well, and the way that the Soviets constructed their nuclear reactors set it up for the disaster. I mean, they were talking about the graphite-tipped boron rods that caused the pressure in the core to skyrocket, and about how the reason they used those was because it was cheaper.
It's total human negligence.
It's always
the whole
cheaper.
Thing,
right,
from start to finish.
Yeah,
always cheaper.
And then the constant failed tests of the reactor to test
anything to save money, even if it's lives.
But just watching that whole thing, just
there were two really gut-wrenching scenes in that series. First was when they conscripted the soldiers to go into the radioactive poisoned villages, and they had to exterminate the pets.
Everything, yeah.
That tore me.
That was awful.
Kill everything living.
They had to kill everything because it was all contaminated, including the dogs and the cats and the cattle, and that was just awful. And then, of course, the very last episode where you see what happened to the victims who were so exposed to the radioactive core. I mean, their bodies basically melted from the inside out. Yeah. And I don't know who was responsible for doing the makeup effects, but it was just unreal, the reality that they were able to get into that. I mean, it was gruesome.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, our from what I saw in there, how our bodies can absorb that much radiation where somebody can't even be around.
It passes through. Yeah,
that's insane.
Well, and that was the two things that really struck me about the miniseries. Number one was, I'm not in order, just in what I was thinking here, but when the very beginning of episode 1, the main character commits suicide. Well, and that really Legasov commits suicide.
At the end.
Right. Yeah. And they were interviewing the directors and producers were talking about why they did that. They wanted to establish that Legasov it's not just about him, and it's not just about his contributions. There is a much bigger picture here to appreciate. And so they wanted us to know that this cost his life in the end, that he is going to commit suicide, but that's because the radiation he absorbed.
He was already a walking dead anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing he could have done about it. But they wanted to establish that as this is not about Legasov, even though you're going to see him a lot through all these parts, because he is spearheading this. And just like with the female scientist, her character was created. She wasn't a real person, but they created her to represent all the other nuclear physicists and scientists that were trying to contribute to help put an end to this disaster and clean it up. So the other thing that struck me was the widow of the firefighter. Her baby, had she not been pregnant, her life probably would have ended too, because they said that her baby absorbed all of the radiation that she was around, and it brought that whole point, like these little kids had to pay the price for things that they didn't even do.
There was a scene in that movie where they were trying to get volunteers. They were trying to get volunteers to go into the radioactive zone and help in dealing with the disposing of some of that material. And I don't know if you remember, but they have like all of the men who are possible volunteers to go in and do that, and they were saying that they would pay them 400 rubles or $400 or whatever. Yeah. And that was a suicide mission.
Yeah.
and they were going to pay those guys $400 to do that, and they went in and they did it. And they all died.
Yeah.
Eventually, soon thereafter because of the radioactive poisoning. But
like all the guys that were that dug the up under
the miners,
the coal miners,
yes.
Stripped down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy scene.
And then
didn't they tell them they had to put their clothes back on or something like that? I think so.
Yeah,
I didn't see that in the movie. Well, I know the reason that they did that was because it was 50 degrees Celsius, which I think translates to like over almost like 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
And you couldn't run the fans because
like
it would blow the radiation in there
right.
with them. But I don't think, I could be wrong. I did a lot of research on it after I watched it, but I don't think all those miners died. A lot of them survived.
Well, even those 3 guys that had to go in to, I think, reactivate the water pumps or whatever.
Oh, yeah, had the scuba gun.
2, I think, are still alive today, I think. Or I know one has since passed on. And I want to say, because they showed this in the captions at the end, but I want to say at least 1 or 2 of those guys are still around.
Because when they were going around, they had to turn over the top 10 feet of the dirt within such a mile radius.
Yeah.
On how many miles out it was because it
Right.
was radiated.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about disaster flicks like Titanic, for example, this was such a huge, epic scale, and that's what made this so so captivating. Is that this involved a huge exercise
whole
of
country.
manpower and resources.
Yeah,
whole
whole
country.
nation. Yeah.
Yeah, you think about like Titanic, for example. That was an isolated incident. That was an accident.
But that's a matter of perspective. It was a miracle for the lobsters in the ship's kitchen. So. Anyway, Derrick, you go.
Well, didn't the radiation float like as far as Italy? Maybe. They showed
It made it to the U.S. Yeah, I mean, a very small amount, but and that was one thing I learned in high school was that if you want to really get down to just the technical part of it, the radiation from Chernobyl made its way all the way across the Atlantic and even hit parts of the U.S. East Coast.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and the thing that's so mind-boggling about that is you just didn't. I mean, and I have my history major. I have a degree in history, and I knew very, very little about Chernobyl, and it was just mind-boggling to be educated in that and see how huge on a scale of disaster this was.
Well,
even to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go there.
No.
Well, and
they put
because-
that casket over it.
Well, there was the back in the 80s or whenever, because they were talking about that containment building, and the original name of that was the sarcophagus. And then just a few years ago, this is very recent, about 3-4 years ago, when they noticed that the sarcophagus was starting to fail, they've now built a whole nother dome on top of that, and it's supposed to last about a century. And what was cool about this dome was when they built it at a distance from Chernobyl, and then it was
it was
awesome. It was so cool. And they wheeled it in, and then they put an internal crane on the inside, and that internal crane is supposed to be like remote operated, where I can't remember it's either supposed to pick up dangerous material or it's supposed to build something on the inside. But there is this internal crane on the inside too, and then they have totally sealed that up. So it's another containment building on top of the sarcophagus, on top of the original Chernobyl reactor.
And I know the actual reactor is still burning.
Yeah.
It's still melting down.
And it will for like the next, they said 50,000 years.
They call it you can look it up. It's called the elephant's foot, where it shows part of it melting underground.
Yeah.
So all they did was slow it. When they dug under it, all they could do was slow it, but they didn't stop it. So it's just
because of all those things Legasov was talking about, how you have your reactivity, and then you have to balance it out with the cooling elements. Well, there's nothing to cool it now.
Right.
You can slow it down, but without it being in the reactor, it's just
the deeper it goes, the hotter it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fantastic series.
Yeah, long story short.
Definitely.
Maybe we should have done a podcast on that.
I think we should
Chernobyl.
someday. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, why don't we take a break right there, Preston, and we'll
Sounds
come
good to
back
me.
for the second part of our podcast, and we're going to talk about one of the greatest movies that's ever been put out, Shawshank Redemption.
And we are now back, and we're ready to bring our roundtable discussion of one of our favorite movies of all time, which is the Stephen King classic, The Shawshank Redemption. So Derrick is going to kind of spearhead this conversation, because I know this is one he was especially enthused about bringing to us. So Derrick, I'm going to let you just kind of start it out and see where we go from there.
Yeah, so this one has been on our list for some time to do a review on, and we're talking about Shawshank Redemption. It came out, released in 1994. What were you guys doing in 1994?
I was being 12 years old.
There you go.
It's working a full-time job, thank you.
Doug was already shaving and working.
I was in elementary school.
What are you doing, Nathan? Oh.
In 1994, I would have been in 4th grade, Mr. Williams' class. But Shawshank Redemption came out that year. We have all said that it's one of the greatest movies of all time, and we're not alone in that, because as of today, if you go to IMDb and look at their rankings, Shawshank is number 1 with a 9.3 out of 10.
Wow.
I think Godfather
it's
Part
definitely
2
worth it.
was second.
Definitely worth it.
By just
Wow.
a tenth of a point or so. So let's give you some fast facts about Shawshank. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie, what are you doing?
Amen.
You got to see
There's
it.
spoilers coming if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It was directed by Frank Darabont, and it, as Preston already indicated, was based off a Stephen King book, Shawshank Redemption, which came out in 1982. Now, interesting thing about Frank Darabont is he also directed The Green Mile, one of Nathan's favorite movies,
Yes.
which is also a Stephen King book as well. So he has that distinction of directing 2 of those Stephen King plots. And Green Mile is also a story about prison, or it takes place in prison. Now, Shawshank Redemption has 2 great stars leading the acting. You've got Tim Robbins, who plays Andy Dufresne, and then you've got Morgan Freeman, who plays Ellis Redding. The plot of the movie, just to summarize it, I won't go into everything, but we begin by meeting Andy Dufresne, and he is wrongfully convicted of murdering his wife and her lover, and then he's sentenced to 2 life sentences in the infamous Shawshank prison. And, of course, that's a fictional prison. That's not a real Shawshank prison, but it was, from what I understand, it was shot at a prison in Ohio, I think. The building, and of course they had sets and everything, but the exterior shots that you see was an actual prison in Ohio, I believe. You may want to fact check me on that. But Andy Dufresne has to then go into, Nathan's fact checking me right now.
No, I just happened to be on IMDb, and you are right, Derrick. It was part of it was filmed in Ohio, Virginia, and the Virgin Islands, and yeah, pretty much Ohio and Virginia.
There you go. Andy Dufresne has to adjust to his life in prison, and he ends up making friends with Morgan Freeman, or Red in the movie. And anyway, through a long series of events there, Andy is able to procure a rock hammer, a geologist hammer from Red, who's a man who knows how to get things. And he basically, in secret, uses that rock hammer to tunnel out of his cell. And the big twist in the movie is that Andy Dufresne finds a way to escape this prison, the inescapable prison of Shawshank. And, of course, that's the whole big culminating point in the movie. Now, before we dive into the themes and some of the Christian undertones of the movie, I want to go around to you guys and I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. Actually, more than two. But where were you, or when were you when you first saw it? What was your reaction to it the first time you saw it? How many times have you seen it since then, and why do you love it? So if you can keep all of that in mind. I'll go first. I was a junior in high school when I first saw it, and I watched it at my friend's house, Brandon Tweed. We watched it together, and I was absolutely just blown away by it. I just instantly connected with the characters and the story. I was totally enraptured by it, and even then when I saw it, I was like, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. Since then, I've watched it at least a dozen times, and it's a long movie. I don't know what the running time is, but I think it pushes almost 3 hours.
It's almost 2.5 hours.
Okay, it's a long run.
Yes,
and
2 hours and 22 minutes.
There you go. And the reason that I love it is not only because it's one of those movies you can watch and rewatch, and it never gets old, but the themes that it touches on are absolutely timeless, and that's what keeps me coming back. Is, of course, as I've gotten older, I have seen so many of the Christian themes coming through. Christian theology is just woven into the movie, and I don't know if that was intentional by Stephen King or not, but man, without it being a Bible-based movie, I think Shawshank is probably one of the greatest Christian movies ever, and it's not even intended to be, but it's just the themes are so strong in it that it's powerful, and it's great on every single level.
And whether or not it's Christian, we can certainly draw the elements out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like with many other things.
And I know that sounds strange because if the movie is rated R and it does have a lot of profanity in it and all of that, but set that stuff aside and just look at the thematic material and the message that's being conveyed. There's so much more there than just a good story.
Yeah.
There's all this deep philosophical and spiritual stuff that is really driving the whole movie. So, Preston, where were you, as best your memory? When were you? What was your initial reaction? How many times have you seen it, and why do you love it?
Well, I want to say, if I remember right, when I first saw it, I may have been in 8th, maybe 9th grade, so roughly 1996. And I was at home when I first saw it, and I want to say it was when because every now and then HBO would do like a free sample where you would get, if you were not subscribed to it,
You get a free weekend.
get a free weekend. And sure enough, we had
like those AOL discs.
That's another thing that today's generation won't ever
20 different
understand.
emails.
So I
Go to the gas station. Y'all got any more of them AOL discs?
AOL disc, you know.
Nobody make a phone call.
I got some legal paperwork. So I want to say I do know that was the circumstance, and that was I want to say 8th, maybe 9th grade, Nathan, so when I first saw it, it was the full raw, unedited, it would have been for cable, because I know TBS would show it a lot. So I was hit full on by that unedited raw version of it, and I remember really being blown away, and even as a kid thinking how real it made things as far as like prison, like, because I know, Derrick, you were talking about, it is rated R for profanity and some of those elements that make for an R-rated movie. The only thing I would add to that is, in this particular case, I think those were some things that brought out what the reality.
Oh yeah, the harshness of that lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
precisely.
doesn't sugarcoat anything.
So one of the reasons, what I really liked about it, so that's where I was. What I really liked about it was just how, not only how real and raw it was, but how it brought out these elements of companionship, but also things of like, how dangerous living in a place like that could be. But the reason I love it, and this kind of transcends into when I watched it back later, especially in my college days, because there are some fraternity connections to that, because I was in the band service fraternity when I was in college. It's called Kappa Kappa Psi, and we were actually supposed to watch that movie as an assignment, as a pledge assignment, and we were supposed to discuss the elements of brotherhood. That
Interesting assignment.
Yes. And so that really is one of the reasons I love the movie, is because I feel like it is packed with elements of brotherhood, especially when you look at Andy's relationship with Red, and you just look at how important that was, and how, especially in a place like that, and with the other kind of secondary characters through the movie, they shared a brotherhood that I feel like in a situation like that would get them through so many things, and kind of forming a protective bond, but also having that friendship together, being able to share some semblance of life together. So those are some reasons why I love it. And so again, that's how old I was when I first saw it. But over the years, even recently, I watch it every now and then, even to this day.
Sweet. All right, Nathan or Doug, you guys jump in. You guys can duke it out.
Get it.
I want to say I was in middle school. I don't know. We'll just say late 90s. Sure. But the first time I saw it was actually on TV.
The TBS version.
Yes, exactly. But I loved it, but at the same time, I think when I finally saw it, the actual physical copy of it, or the unedited version, I loved it even better. And it wasn't because the language or anything like that. It was because when I watched it on TBS, they had it edited in a way where you would hear somebody else's voice where there was a cuss word.
It was distracting.
It was very distracting. Because it was so ridiculous. But when I finally saw the real version, I guess you could say, I loved it. I thought it was great. I forgot your questions, Derrick. I'm sorry.
How about this one? What specifically about it do you love?
I think because the big message for me in it was because Andy talked about hope a lot in it, and he has the one of the best quotes I've ever heard in a movie.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Well, the one I was thinking was
hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things.
Yes.
And
that
no
was
good
Morgan
thing
Freeman,
ever
my
dies.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love that quote. And I've probably seen that movie 100 times since I first saw it.
Never gets old.
No, never does. I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it this year at all. But I mean, it's still clear in my head. The movie. But
Sweet. Yeah. Douglas, tell the peoples.
Here he comes.
What would you like to know? Okay. 1994. Well, I didn't see it till I think it was around 97, and I rented it on VHS.
Oh my gosh.
Did you rewind it?
I think I did not.
Did it come on a single VHS, or was it one of those double VHS?
It was one of them double ones.
Yeah, because there were some of the longer movies. Like I know Braveheart was a double
Titanic.
Yeah. Titanic was a double one, so you thought, oh, it's a bonus. But it's one of them movies, you've watched it. I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched it since then. You always catch it, and no matter what part, you can just be, back when I had cable, you could flip through and you'd catch it on, you start watching it. It didn't matter where you started watching it, you could watch it from that point. It was definitely what I took from it is they didn't have they made the best out of their situation. Their relationships were thrust on them. They didn't have a choice. Like that first night, Red didn't like Andy. He bet against him. And
Fresh fish.
Yeah.
That tall drink of water.
Yeah.
With the silver spoon.
Yeah, he ain't gonna make it the first night. So
Yeah.
And it just shows how important relationships are. even in a situation that was so dire as they were in, their relationships with their other, become brothers in there is what got them through.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing I took from it.
It's interesting. We talked about how this was a Stephen King book at first, and Stephen King's known for horror, right? But I think this is the best thing he's ever done, and I'm not like a Stephen King fan, but I've seen some of the horror that's been made into films. Mm-hmm. Did he write The Shining? Does anybody know?
Now, I know Stanley Kubrick directed it.
Is that a Stephen King
far-
book? Anyway,
As far as Stephen King writing.
y'all look it up. But my point is this, that he's known for horror, and yet this has nothing in it that is scary or...
Real life horror.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
It's drama.
Yeah.
And it's about friendships, and it deals with themes that he normally doesn't deal with, I guess, in most of his writing. And to me, it's so powerful. Was it Preston? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got one right.
He wrote The Shining, Creep Show,
Carrie, Maximum Overdrive,
It.
Firestarter,
Yeah.
The Running Man.
The Langoliers. Oh, he did The Running Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
but it
see
was
that
different.
so you see that Shawshank is like different from
The Mist.
what he's normally known for. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the themes that are so strong in the movie. We've already touched on one, and really the movie centers on this dialectic between hope versus despair. Hope is huge because it's the thing that gets Andy through prison, and it's the thing that he ultimately gives all of the prisoners around him as he lives his life there. He brings hope into their lives, and that they don't have to give in to the life sentence or the cruelty and of the world that they're living in. But I feel like the whole movie is about this battle between hope versus despair, and there's a critical moment kind of 2/3 of the way through the movie when Andy does almost give in to the despair when his protege is
gunned down.
taken out, gunned down by the warden and all of his corruption.
Right.
And so I feel like that is the main theme of the movie: hope versus despair. And you always have to have hope, and you always have to have friends to help get you through that.
Yeah.
We already talked about that enduring friendship. That's definitely one of the huge themes in the movie, and how you have this kind of unlikely bond that forms between Morgan Freeman, a black guy, and Andy Dufresne, a white guy, in a prison setting where normally, if you know anything about prison life, they segregate into separate groups, but they're forced to, these two guys who are very different.
Especially in that time period.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's the added layer.
Yeah, this was taking place like in the 50s or
Late.
something like that.
He goes to prison in 1949.
Yeah.
And spends 19
Yeah,
years.
so you think about what was going on in America at that, very segregated.
Yeah.
And yet you have these two guys, completely different backgrounds, shoved together, and they form this brotherhood along with the other misfits that are in there. And one of the things that I really was drawn to about this movie is it really humanized prisoners, because we kind of all have the tendency to paint them all with the same brush. They're just dirty, rotten scoundrels. And maybe we have other ideas of what prison life would be like. For instance, if you saw Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, classic movie, great movie. But I felt like this one really humanized the men who were in this terrible place and helped you to see their fears, helped you to see that even in that place they had love for each other and compassion for each other, and all the human gamut of emotions that we deal with. It really brought that to the forefront. And then, of course, redemption, right? It's in the title of the movie. And so the whole arc of the movie is moving toward this theme of Andy's innocence being tarnished by the false accusation and his imprisonment for a crime that he didn't do. The whole arc of the movie moves toward redeeming that and righting that wrong. And that's another theme in the movie, is justice. Because as the movie goes on, who's the most corrupt person in the whole prison?
The warden.
The warden, right? And he's the Bible thumper. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be the face of Christianity in he makes them read the Bible, and he has very stern rules. In fact, I think he actually has he has a Bible verse.
He does,
stitched on his wall,
and he even whistles hymns.
Yeah,
he was whistling "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God."
Yeah, and so he's kind of like the face of fake religiosity. Mm-hmm. He would be the Pharisee, I guess you would say, of the movie, and
clothing yourself in all those deeds and all that, trying to hide what's really underneath.
Yeah, he's the face of the law and righteousness, and supposed to be the white shining example, and yet in the movie he's the most corrupt one, and he's responsible for the death of other prisoners and all kinds of other money laundering schemes and all the stuff going along on the side. And so the movie deals with this in that it reverses that, because Andy helps bring justice to this terrible character of the warden through his
he puts his own plan.
Yeah, his own plan that he hatches, where he uncovers all of the dishonesty of the warden. And then, of course, another great theme of the movie is freedom. And but freedom is reversed in this movie, if you've ever noticed it. Like in most prison type movies, the prisoners want freedom. But in this one, I felt like it was kind of reversed, because they were afraid of freedom in this movie, right?
It's because they were
institutionalized.
They were there for so long.
Brooks, talk about Brooks.
One of the things where he says, first, the walls kept you in, but after a while you're inside, the walls keep everybody else out.
Yeah.
And he also, Morgan Freeman's character Red, said that after a while you get to depend on them.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Was the Brooks element, the character Brooks, who had been there for over 50 years, because he said that he came there in 1905, and he ends up getting released like in 1955.
Yeah, and he's like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, and you just think about what was going on in 1905 versus 55, and he's talking about how cars are everywhere. I mean, you're talking about a guy who he spent 50 years of his life in a place where that's where he was able to sustain, and then all of a sudden he is thrust in his old age into a world
he doesn't even it's almost like a Rip Van Winkle sleep type situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a completely different world.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene from American Gangster, where Denzel Washington's character.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
Frank Lucas.
Yeah, the drug dealer. You guys know what I'm talking about, where he comes out at the end of the movie and.
Because he was in prison for 15 years.
Yeah, he goes in like in the early 70s, and he comes out like at the end of the 80s.
91.
Yeah. And the world is like completely different as he comes out of that.
Because that really happened.
Yeah.
And
same type thing.
Yeah. That's exactly right. But
Brooks ends up becoming the tragic character in the movie, because he can't cope. And when he gets out in the outside world, he's so used to life in the prison that he's not able to adjust, and he ends up giving in to the despair, and he commits suicide.
Life. He's convinced that there's no way he could survive. Out there. And
so that goes back to that theme of hope versus despair. And I think actually one of the most powerful moments in the movie is when Morgan Freeman actually stays in the same room where Brooks was assigned to as part of his, going back into society. And up on the wall where he hung himself, Brooks was here.
Yeah.
And then that's where he hung himself. And then
that was really great.
Morgan
scene.
Freeman puts
Red
was too.
You think about that as an edge of your seat scene, because
you think Morgan Freeman's about to do the same
see his
thing.
feet go up on the table, just like, and you're like, whoa, what is about to happen? Is he going to do the same thing?
You also see him at the same pawn shop where he got that gun, and then he was looking at the guns, but he actually buys the.
Was it a watch?
No, it was a compass.
Oh yeah, to go find the box.
Right.
To go find the box in the.
He buys a compass.
Got the compass instead.
Yep. And that's a whole other side of the movie that we haven't even really explored. Like Andy's whole scheme that he's been funneling off this laundered money.
Yeah.
To set it up for himself, so that when he gets out, he's set up and he can go live his second life. And then, of course, all of that is spelled out in the box that's buried underneath the tree out in the field, and he directs Morgan Freeman to go there.
When you were talking about on the subject of Red and the humanizing of the prisoners that are in the movie, trying to show that there's a human element, even though all these guys are in there for so many different things, from murder to whatever. And what really struck a chord with me was when that very last parole meeting that Red is in, it's 20 years and 30 years and finally it's 40 years, and he has this completely different spiel in that scene. And one of the things that he said that struck a really cool tone with the humanization was when he says, I want to go back to who I was then, or I want to talk to that young man. I want to tell him how things are. And then on top of that, he says, but I can't. That young man is long gone, and this old man is all that's left, and I have to live with that.
Yeah.
And
so powerful, man.
It is, and it really makes you wonder, does something similar go through people's heads that may have walked in those same shoes before? And it makes you realize that even in this real world that we live in, there probably are people that do feel that way.
And if I remember correctly, there's like 3 of those parole meetings that Morgan Freeman, and it's kind of sets up the acts of the movie. So like each act of the movie begins and ends with that parole scene.
Yeah, and it's a different parole board.
I think it's like every 10 years.
And progressively, the first one, he's, kind of a smart aleck. And then the second one, he just is kind of trying to say what he thinks they want to hear so he can get out. But then by the third one, it's almost like a full-on confession. It's like he's confessing his sins. Like, look, this is who I really am. I'm being honest with you, transparent. Like, I made mistakes, and I would like to be able to change that. But like you said, I can't talk to that young man anymore. So it's almost like a confession of his sins.
And they show the stamp.
Yeah, and when he confesses his sins, he gets freedom.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
He doesn't even care anymore.
He doesn't even care at that point. He's so let go of his life and his past, and it just doesn't even matter.
But when you think about it, that touches on a truly honest confession. When you're so on, you just don't care anymore. You just want the truth out because you cannot hold it in anymore. So think about this:
he confesses his true heart.
Yeah.
And when he confesses, he gets freedom. Now, is that not a Christian theme or not?
Oh, I know.
If you confess your sins, he's faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you of all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. I mean, it's total Christianity right there.
Yeah.
When you're actually honest with the power that be, in this case God, in the movie case the parole board, the ones who hold your destiny in your hand, when you're actually honest before them, that's how you get freedom.
Right.
I just thought that was so powerful in the movie.
The truth literally set him free.
Yeah. And 30 years.
Yeah.
I've had a hard time.
He did do
Derrick,
a hard time.
I found this about the quote that was in the warden's office. That was
the Bible verse.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, not.
Okay, I'm just going to read this then.
Yeah.
The quote, "His judgment cometh, and that right soon," is in the 1994 movie The Shawshank Redemption. It is not a quote found in the Bible. The closest verse is from Ecclesiasticus 21 and verse 5, not to be confused with Ecclesiastes, because Ecclesiasticus 21 verse 5 is in the Catholic Apocrypha, where it reads in that verse, "A prayer out of a poor man's mouth reaches to the ears of God, and his judgment cometh speedily." Interesting.
Wow.
I just learned something, and I hope you did too.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I thought that was really cool. So,
But that's what's cross-stitched and is on the warden's wall.
Up.
Yeah.
I just
So
thought that
it's
was cool.
a
I saw
fake
that.
Bible verse for his fake
life.
Yes.
Yes. Very good, Doug.
Very deep.
You get a gold star.
Cha-ching.
The verse that Samuel L. Jackson also quotes in Pulp Fiction is also a fake Bible verse. The path of the righteous man, that was also pulled and reworked and stuff. But anyway, just so everyone knows
I didn't
that
know
too.
that either.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, going back to Brooks for a second, was the fact that when he sent that letter in to everybody, and Red was reading it. I really hope you guys didn't say this, but I know I was listening.
That's okay, Nathan.
But I'm just like finding stuff. I also remember he said, "What if I commit a crime? What if I buy a gun and go shoot somebody just so I can?"
Well, he tries to kill that one guy, so he
He's
has
wanting to
stay.
kill his manager.
Yeah.
He's wanting to shoot the manager at the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty powerful. That he's thinking, if I can try to get back in, maybe if I commit a crime, would they let me back in? Or
because life inside for the prison was predictable, comfortable, and easy for him at that point.
But when you look at that, full monologue there, what he was talking about, and you listen to what he says at the very end, he is kept from doing that because of a promise he made. And so, even though he really is thinking about those things, that promise he made to Andy is really the one thing that's holding on to him. And it's that hope element. And that's why he ends up just putting his name up in the wall. He doesn't end up doing what Brooks did. And he goes and he does what he promised Andy he would do.
Sweet. So, Doug, you want to say something?
I was
Go ahead, brother.
He's talking about the
you do
the little tie-ins and stuff. I thought it was for me anyway, when at the very end of the movie, when they're going through and they see the hole behind the poster where he got out, and then
fuzzy britches,
and then he picks up the Bible, and it's the Bible Andy had.
Right.
And where he had his rock hammer hid
inside
the Bible. So every time they would do a check inside, Andy would pick up the Bible like he was reading it. So though the Bible saved him, essentially.
I'd forgotten about that. That's very good.
It was amazing in how, I know he was in there for years, but it was amazing how long or how thick that wall was that he dug through. I can't remember how thick they said it was. I mean, it had to be 12 feet thick at least that he was able to crawl through.
It was just old.
Solid concrete.
Yeah. And he said, well, and that goes back to what they were saying is that it'd been there so long that it slightly deteriorated where he was able to start.
Well, and then in the flashback scene, they actually show like how he's kind of accidentally scraping against the wall, and he notices it's really brittle. And then he kind of dawns on him, oh my gosh, I can tunnel through this. It's kind of like one of those happy accidents.
And he was like,
oh, Bob Ross, no mistakes, just happy accidents. He didn't make a mistake. He had a happy little accident.
A happy little tree.
Well, and that's what's funny to me is how you were talking about the Bible covering the chisel and how you're able. It's a funny combination. You're able to escape from prison by way of the Bible, Raquel Welch, and Rita Hayworth. That's what cracks me up is that was the combination that he had to escape from prison.
Yeah,
his savior.
So to kind of put the cherry on top of all this, I've been thinking about this for a long time, like years of watching this movie and connecting the dots to theology, but I want to lay this out for you, and of course you guys can make comments along the way. Andy is like a Christ-like figure in the movie, even though he doesn't die on a cross. Just hear me out on this. So he comes into the prison, he's innocent, right? They have that whole scene between he and Red where everybody's not guilty, of course, but Andy truly is innocent. And then Red finally admits, I did the crime and I'm here because I deserve it. So Andy comes in, he's innocent, like Christ, who is sinless, who is innocent. Andy is persecuted because he's new and he's different. He's quiet, he's intelligent, he's not like all the other men in the prison. What was the name of the guy that Boggs and his group of cronies?
The sisters.
Yeah, the sisters.
God, that's
gave me the
creep.
creeps.
So
just the name.
Andy is persecuted. He's also persecuted by the guard. I can't remember the name of the main guard.
Hadley.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a terror.
Until he proves himself to Hadley.
And he gets thrown in solitary confinement for a little while after the music scene. Remember that?
That was a great scene.
Yeah, so he's innocent, just as Jesus was sinless. He's persecuted, just as Jesus was persecuted. He subverts the harsh cruelty of prison life. So he doesn't go with prison life is supposed to harden you, right? It's supposed to dehumanize you. It's supposed to make you more violent, more cruel, more hateful. And Andy doesn't do that. He goes against the grain of the system. Instead, he shows kindness, and he reminds the men inside the prison of the good things outside in the world. So he actually brings hope to these men who are hopeless.
Yeah.
And we see that in several scenes where, remember when they're on the
Roof
roof
tarring scene.
and they're
Yeah.
tarring, and he makes a deal with Hadley that he'll help him
Cold
do his
beers and
taxes
everything.
if he
Yeah.
can get some beer for his fellow guys, and he doesn't even
He
drink
doesn't
it.
drink, yeah.
Right.
He just wants to do it to bless his friends.
What did he say? Fellow? Did he say fellow?
His coworkers.
Coworkers,
His coworkers.
And then there's, of course, the great scene where he hijacks the record player and plays the, I believe it's a piece of Mozart.
It is. It's from the, I want to say it's
Get
from
it,
the
Preston.
Marriage of Figaro.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doug. Yeah, Marriage of Figaro. It's one of the arias.
Yeah, and
from-
everybody in the prison just stops
Yeah.
to listen to this music. And they're reminded, oh my gosh, there's still beauty in the world.
Yeah.
There's still something worth living for. And then those are two of the big moments in the movie where Andy is going against the system, and he's bringing hope into a hopeless world. So you can see, obviously, the Christ connection there. You know, everybody that Jesus encountered, with the exception of the Pharisees, in his life, he brought hope. He brought healing. He brought joy into their life. He has disciples. Andy has disciples in the movie. You think about the friends that he forms around him and how he influences them. And of course, he takes on the young man toward the end of the movie, Tommy. Remember that? He teaches him how to read and to get his GED and all that. So just as Jesus had a following and had disciples, he has a conflict with the power structure. His whole big beef is with who? The warden.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's up against this exorbitant level of corruption.
Yes.
You know, that rotten to the core.
Right.
Corruption at the top.
Just as Jesus was in conflict with the religious elites of his day, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and then the corrupt Romans and all of that. And then the great climax of the movie is there's an escape. So it's interesting that when they do the cell check, the last thing you see is Andy gets some rope, and you think when they do the cell check the next morning that Andy doesn't come out, he's died. He's killed himself. But they go in there and they discover the cell is empty. He's not really dead. He's alive.
Yeah.
So think about that in terms of what we know of the Christ narrative.
Empty tomb.
There's an empty tomb.
Yeah.
They come to search for the body. There is no body. He's not really dead. He's alive.
Yeah.
And he's literally gone through the
tunnel.
of poop.
Yep. yeah.
Which is like a metaphor
Sewer
of
line, yeah.
of dying and being reborn again, or being resurrected, and then he comes out on the other end. You know, he holds his hands up and it's raining, and there's that whole powerful
Doesn't
scene.
Red make that?
Comes out clean.
Yeah, at the very
Comes
end
out
of it.
clean.
Yeah, he
uses some choice language in there, but
he went. They said he crawled through the nastiest muck that you could ever think of, and comes out clean on the other side.
So you think about that in terms of the Christ story. They think obviously he did die, but they go to the tomb expecting there to be a body, and there's not a body, and he's escaped from death and he's resurrected. So, I mean, you see all that. And then, of course, hope is brought into the lives of his friends, because Red knows that he's alive on the outside, and Red kind of has this revelation that, hey, if Andy made it, then I can make it. And that's very reminiscent of the hope that is brought to Christians, because we know that Christ is alive. We have hope that we can make it as well because of him.
And would you also say Andy's living in paradise, just like
at the end of the movie? Yeah, that's like it's like a picture of heaven, right?
Yeah.
It's ideal,
blue
sea forever,
beachfront
white
property.
sand.
Yep.
Red makes it, and he gets a second chance.
Yeah.
After he confesses his sins and is honest, then he gets his freedom. You see,
it's perfect, Derrick. It's perfect.
I mean, it's just amazing. That's why I say this is one of the most crazy, explicit Christian movies, and it's not meant to be at all, I don't think. But it's all there. And, of course, the great part, too, is that the evil, the corrupt man, the warden, is defeated. Mm-hmm. He does himself in. And
he doesn't have any power.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
And his head guard gets arrested. For
yeah,
all
everybody
the
who's
corruption.
corrupt, they end up getting theirs in the end, which is also a promise of the Bible as well, that Christ is going to bring peace and justice to the corrupt and crooked world. So it's kind of like Shawshank is almost kind of like a parable of Jesus in my estimation. Jesus told parables, which were earthly stories to convey a heavenly meaning, and they were great stories. He's the greatest storyteller that ever lived, but the stories had a deeper meaning. And if you had eyes to see and ears to hear, if you were on that level, you could see, hey, this story has two levels. There's a spiritual meaning here, and then there's obviously a narrative that goes along with it. And I feel like Shawshank is built like that.
Yeah.
It's a great story, fantastic acting. Everything about it draws you in. But then when you get to the second level, man, it's got a spiritual message to it. And it touches on all those things that we care about as human beings, like hope, and how do I live in a crooked, messed up world, and the power of friendship, justice, freedom, all these, brotherhood, all these things that drive us. That's the second level. That's the deeper level.
Doesn't Andy say one of the lines he says to the guys, like, why are you always so, they ask him why he's always smiling. And,
yeah.
And he makes a point, I can't remember who he was talking to, but it might have been on the roof, when he was saying that he thinks everybody on the outside's really the ones in prison.
Mm-hmm.
That just popped in my head. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said
So
he don't think he's the one.
the movie had so many great quotes.
Or like when he says, "We were the lords of all creation."
The lords of all
When-
creation.
because
yes.
they just being able to be rewarded for their work with the
They felt like
beers
men
and all of
again.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and those are the exact words. Yeah, they felt like men. We felt like the lords of all creation. And all they did was tar a roof and then get paid through beer bottles for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so many powerful themes in the movie. And it's great. And two huge quotes that always stick out in my mind: "Get busy living" or "Get busy dying." Right?
Yep.
And then hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, Preston, you probably remember this. I was preaching a message. It was on a Sunday night, and I was preaching from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, and I was talking about the importance of hope in the Christian life. And I started out the message by referencing Shawshank Redemption
I
and
remember.
this quote of hope.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Because when I started
Yeah.
out the message, you perked up in the back and you were like, "He's preaching on Shawshank Redemption."
Well, see, and it's funny. I remember over the years I've known you, Derrick. There have been many moments where even some of the things you've said were a little bit more subliminal. Where certain people at church, they just, I mean, like
Some people get it. Some people will never get it.
And this is to say, everyone understood the meaning of the words, but some of us understood the bit. Like there was another sermon you preached years before that where you were, I forget what topic or what verse, but you were referring to a biblical location, and you said, and I quote, "It was a wretched hive of scum and villainy."
Yes. Star Wars.
And I forgive me, I cannot.
It's probably
remember.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
You might have been. I'm pretty sure that, or Nineveh, or whatever.
Yeah,
But you were referencing a biblical place, so that's an example of, you said it was a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Well, everyone in church knows the meaning of those, like the definition,
But only a
scum,
few.
But only those of us know exactly
The initiated.
where it came from. Yeah,
We happy few.
we
Band of brothers.
Yeah.
Henry V. Yeah, that's another good movie too. So, but yeah, so I've noticed throughout some of your sermons that those little subliminal lines always plugged in.
Yeah.
That
And last
reminded
week
me.
was Hacksaw Ridge. I got Hacksaw Ridge in there.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah?
put Desmond
Yeah.
Dawson
Yeah,
there,
so-
and for those of y'all listening too, Derrick has always
great
made
movie.
really cool connections. There was also the Horatio Nelson, and what was the wrestler? You were
Lex Luger.
Lex Luger.
Yeah, he's
You
a good,
had-
he's a good picture of Jacob who
Yeah.
wrestles with God.
Yeah, you had Horatio Nelson of the Admiral Nelson from Battle of Trafalgar connected with Lex Luger, and I was like, man,
Yeah, I remember I
that's-
gave you the slides for that message,
Yeah.
and you were like, Lex Luger and how are these going to be connected? I was like, just listen.
Yeah, I was like, you have my attention now. So
Oh
that
man,
was
this
so
has
cool.
been a blast.
Amen.
I got some little trivia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
This is the people that were considered to play Andy's part, the actors. Jeff Bridges, Tom Hanks, Kevin Costner, Tom Cruise, Matthew Broderick, Nicolas Cage. I don't know why it's so
Nicolas
funny. I always
Cage,
say Nicolas
jeez.
Cage.
Now, some of those are good. Some of those I would say
Johnny
no.
Depp, Charlie Sheen. Tom Hanks turned it down because he was committed to Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner liked the script a lot, but
Waterworld.
yes, it was.
Oh, no.
Was he filming Waterworld at the time?
Yes, he was. I didn't even read that part. Did I?
94 was a magic year, man.
Oh, man.
And this
That hurts.
I hope y'all know why we're laughing at Waterworld.
They should know. Should know.
It's one of the
a good movie.
the greatest blunders of all time.
Doug,
Yes.
don't even talk about good movies, sir.
Oh, no.
You're wrong, first of all.
This was the people considered for Red's part was Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford,
Clint Eastwood?
Paul Newman, Gene Hackman, Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, and I think they said the reason they considered those actors because in the book, Red was actually a middle-aged white Irishman.
Probably because
And-
I'm Irish.
Yes, and
That's
they
where
said-
yeah,
that-
why do they
that
call
makes
you
sense
Red?
now.
Now-
So
oh, I
that's-
never knew that
that's where
until
the
now.
quote
I
comes,
just thought that
maybe-
was just some joke.
Yes, this is maybe because I'm Irish.
Maybe that's because I'm Irish.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Oh
now.
my gosh.
But they
All
wound
this
up
time.
going with Morgan Freeman instead.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
Anybody else doing
Tom
it?
Hanks, as great as he is, and some of these other names, it's hard to imagine a different cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack
then-
Sparrow? Nah, I don't see it.
And I got just one last one, and this is kind of surprising. The film only grossed $18 million.
Wow. Well, I wonder what it was opening against and what time of year it came out.
It doesn't.
Well,
She doesn't even say what it was.
94 was
I
that time
think-
Jurassic Park come out?
Now
Jurassic Park was
that was a year-
93.
Now I think I know because the soundtrack. If I read this right, the Shawshank soundtrack was nominated for both an Oscar and an Emmy for Best Original Score. It lost both awards to The Lion King.
Yeah, that's another thing. It didn't win any Oscars.
Yeah.
But it was nominated for a ton.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
including that.
Well, it says it did another, and that $18 million didn't even cover the cost of production.
It was
So it was a
25
commercial
million- It was
failure.
$25 million budget.
So it was a commercial failure.
Wow.
But and so it says it did another $10 million in the wake of the Oscar nominations, but the film still was deemed to be a box office failure. Morgan Freeman said he cited the film's difficult name as a major reason for this because back then, word of mouth played a much bigger role in any film success than later on.
Wow, that's interesting to know that and look at. Well, you go to IMDb, it's the number one movie on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cult classic.
Yeah, so that just goes to show that just because it rakes in the bucks doesn't mean that it actually has substance and it's worth seeing.
And there is actually a lot of movies that happens to. They totally
They go under the radar.
bomb in theaters,
Like Donnie Darko.
and then they come out. They come out on VHS, DVD,
Equilibrium.
Oh, yeah. That's
digital, whatever, and then they blow up.
Tenant.
Tenet. Yeah.
yeah.
I had the misfortune of
Yeah,
COVID.
Interstellar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's all I got.
Well, this has been a fantastic episode once again, not just because we're on it, but because the dialogue and the
Speak for
content.
yourself.
Probably because Doug didn't say too much. That's probably why it was fantastic.
We had fun, and we
Yeah,
hope
we
that you
did.
did too, all three of you that are out there listening. We're going to come back next time with another great episode of the Inner Light Project. We hope that you enjoyed this. We look forward to meeting with you again.